Did he date girls in high school?
I don't know of any besides Sandy. Because every spare minute he was with those drums.
Did he? Oh.
You want to check your jacket off? Are you warm?
Oh, I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Did he go to dances or anything like that, or did he just focus on the drums?
I don't think they really had many dances.
Oh, that's a shame.
I never heard of them. He was so sensitive. One time my husband was talking to me and said, now this week we're going to be pretty tight, so we're going to have to tighten our belts and watch what we spend. That was all that was said. Gary wasn't even in the room. And at the end of the week, he came to me and handed me all of his lunch money. He hadn't eaten lunch all week. Says, I heard you and Dad talking about being broke, and so I saved you my lunch money. He was so sensitive like that.
Wow. When I got older, when I was in high school, my dad and I would kind of butt heads a lot, you know. Was that like that for Gary as well with Nilo, or?
Always is a constant. I left my husband 7 times just for things like that. And he would promise, no, it's me, you know I'm crazy, I'm just crazy. No, we'll go to counseling. He'd go to counseling one time and then he wouldn't go anymore.
How would that kind of show itself, the differences between the two of them?
It's just my husband yelling and breaking things.
Oh, he would break things. Okay.
Yeah.
In front of Gary?
Yeah.
But did he ever hit him or anything like that?
Never hit him. He one time had a belt or something, and he would hit the door and hit the door frame and like that, but never hit Gary.
How would Gary, as he got older, did he stand up to him a little bit more, or was he still passive?
He wasn't at home after he got older, 17.
Well, I mean in high school,
Yeah.
Did he?
And he was busy every afternoon with his drums.
Okay.
So he wasn't around much.
Well, Gary was saying that he had an incident with Nilo.
He what?
He had an incident with Nilo. It was a bad incident when he was about 14.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
I'd rather not discuss this in front of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Was he always interested in the military?
And when he came home on his leave, I think they trained for like 30 days, came home and leave. He did push-ups every day to stay in shape.
He is definitely in good shape.
Yeah. I think he would have made a career of it if he hadn't married this girl in Germany.
What did he do? Like he was working at the nightclub, and they said he couldn't work there. When did he was 17 when he joined the army? It was right after that.
I think he was 16 because he would have graduated high school when he was 16.
Okay.
So he must have been just 16.
What did he do? I know he joined. He wasn't. I know the draft was around back then, but what?
No, I had left my husband again, and Gary was going out every night, and I'd say, "Where are you going?" He says, "Mom, I am just walking around. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just walking around." One night he woke me up about midnight and says, "Mom, I just wanted you to know, I've been walking every night thinking." And he says, "I'm going to get in trouble with nothing to do, so I joined the army today." First I knew about it. I didn't really know what he was doing. I was worried about him walking, but I didn't know what else to do.
Did he seem excited about it?
He was happy to go. And he talked one of his friends into joining at the same time. So they left on the same train. And the father was so mad at Gary for talking the guy into going. And they both went to paratrooper school. And they had 500 men from all over the world that came there at Fort Benning to take paratrooper training. And Gary was in the top 10 of the 500, and he was 17 years old.
Both Mike and I were in the Army, too, so.
Beg pardon?
I was in the Airborne, too.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, me too.
I went to see him graduate and saw him jumping. Oh, boy, my heart was in my throat.
Did he say, did he think he was going to Vietnam, or I know that was right about that time?
They didn't tell him. I got my aunt to go with me. She lived in Atlanta, and I was living in Hialeah. And I got her to meet me in Atlanta at the airport and go with me out there. And we were only allowed to stay on the base 3 nights, I think it was. And his, I don't know, colonel or what it was, came to us and told us, says, I just want you to know, Gary's shipping overseas tomorrow. If you want to stay another night, you can stay another night.
Oh, that was nice of him.
Yeah. And you know, we went to dinner at the mess hall or someplace there on the base. I told my aunt, I said, now I'm sure that he, after being up here with all these men and in the Army, that he's drinking beer. So let's you and I order a beer so he'll feel comfortable if we want to. So he gave the man our order and said, 2 beers and 1 glass of milk.
What did he like? Did he say he liked the Army?
Yeah.
I mean, when he said going overseas?
He re-enlisted, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And served 2 years of the next hitch, but then he married and he came home.
He didn't go to Vietnam, or did?
No, he went to Germany.
Okay.
Germany. Because that's where he met his wife. But he made the Green Berets before he got out.
How did he feel about that? I mean, was he very proud of it, or did he like that, or?
But he didn't get into it because something was holding up the shipping out of the guys or something. I don't remember what it was. So, but he already had his pen and his beret, and just waiting to be shipped to it. Didn't know where they were going.
Mm-hmm. How did he meet his wife over there, or the girl he met in Germany?
I don't really know how he met her.
Did he write home to you about that and say, "This Mom, I met this great
and
girl"?
said they were going to marry, and I was planning on going over there, and he wrote me and told me they had already married.
Was she older than him, or?
No, I think she's the same age. At least she said she was, but she was an architect, and I thought that's awfully young to be an architect. But then he was 21 by then.
How old was she?
21, because it's 4 or 5 years after he was over there. He went in when he was 17, so 21. So she had to be about, no, I think she's a year or 2 younger than him. A few years after they were divorced, my husband and I moved to Argentina. And my husband told me, he said, you go back to the States and take 2 plane tickets. And you get Ursula and Gary to come down here and live. And said, just down here together, maybe they'll be all right. And they had been separated or divorced. I don't know if there's divorce yet or not. So I went to Gary and asked him, would you go down there and live? He said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I said, well, I'm going to go ask Ursula. So I went to her and ask her, and she says, well, I tell you, with Gary I didn't have nothing, and with this man I've got a good clothes, I got a car to drive, and said, no, I won't go.
So he didn't want to come either?
No.
Did he ever say why they broke up?
Finally, after...
Oh, well, wait a minute. How long were they married, ma'am? They got married when he was 21, and then they were married for...
It must have been just 2 or 3 years. I cannot remember exactly. This chemo affects your memory. They say it's short-lived, it'll return, but I'm hoping.
Well, mine's affected just in general. I have a hard time remembering where my car keys are.
Well, what do you expect from 82 years old?
Did he want to come down there without her, or to
Argentina? No, he wouldn't come without her, he said. I think he's always hoping
that it would...
Yeah. And he didn't get on drugs or drinking, either one, until, years after they divorced.
You said she was a drug pusher. Was she selling, like, narcotics, like marijuana or something?
Yeah, well, when I first saw her, I thought then she's on drugs because her eyes were dilated, and stayed dilated all the time. And always like that. I never saw him when there wasn't.
Did she act strange? Or?
Yeah.
Did you ever say anything to Gary about it?
No, I never did because I didn't see her taking any or doing anything like that.
Just something in the back of your mind.
Yeah, but I didn't want to offend Gary either.
How was Gary if you were talking to him and he got offended? How did he react to stuff like that back when he was younger? I was kind of a hothead. That's the reason why I asked. So.
I don't remember saying anything that offended. If I scolded him for anything, he'd just say, okay, Mom, okay.
Did him and Ursula, did they seem to get along in general?
I never saw him. There's always... Anywhere he would go, she would go, and the same thing. They're always acting like they're crazy about one another.
Did they hold hands and that sort of thing? Okay.
Hug and everything. Just the day before, I told you they was at the races and sitting there on the bench hugging and kissing, just like kids.
Did they think about having kids?
Never said anything to me about it.
Did you ever ask them?
No.
I know my mom would call every day waiting for grandchildren, so.
No, she was working as an architect. I got her at a job at the company I worked for.
Uh-huh.
And she is an architect then. I think she was happy with her work.
Where was this at? Was this in Florida?
That was in Florida.
So when he came back from Germany, right?
Yeah. Florida.
They came to Florida.
North Miami Beach.
About what year was this? Do you remember?
He was 22, so that was. It must have been in the 60s, but I couldn't tell you.
No, it's okay.
I could sit and figure it out, but my brain won't take it.
It's all right, man. So he comes back to Florida, and then what? You said one day they're at the races, and the next day they're just not together anymore?
No, he just said we're separating.
Okay. And did
she told me first, and then I asked him. He said, "Yeah."
Did he seem depressed, or did he say, "Mom, I'm really upset," or anything like that?
Well, he seemed sad, but he didn't cry or nothing.
Cleo, it might be worthy of note to mention Gary was a pilot, wasn't he?
Yeah, at the college he was going to after he got out. He was taking flying lessons, and the school wanted him to stay on as an instructor. And this was just about the time that they separated, I believe.
Did he like flying?
Oh yeah, he really liked it. He flew me and his wife to from Florida, Miami to Pompano. No, we drove. The wife and I drove to Pompano. He took a plane in Miami and flew up to Pompano. We met him and got on the plane with him there because they wouldn't allow him to take passengers in Florida. And he flew us up to Silver Springs, which was up more than halfway the state of Florida.
Oh, wow.
I'm sitting here holding my seat like this.
How did everything work out as an instructor? Did he stay in that job for a long time?
No, I think that's just about the time that they separated.
Mm-hmm.
And he just gave up both of his jobs.
What was his other job?
One of them was delivering and picking up guard dogs because he was going to school. And the other one was exterminator.
And then he got a job as an instructor, or was this just a side thing for him?
I think he just fell to pieces then.
Oh.
Just didn't care what he did.
Oh, when she left him, or when
Yeah.
they separated? That's
I
understandable.
can't remember when he gave up the apartment. I just can't remember.
Before this time, right before the divorce, and I'll ask you about after, did he do a lot of camping and things like that? Was that a big thing for him, camping and going to parks?
My husband was traveling a lot to South America. He would go down there and buy horses, then he'd have to wait till they passed quarantine. So we would go together, the three of us, Ursula, Gary, and I. My company had a cottage down in the Keys. We'd go down there and spend the weekend, or we'd go down to Key West and spend the weekend, or go up to Orlando or something like that. We went someplace almost every weekend that my husband was out of town.
Okay. So would he camp, or would y'all stay in like cabins or little cottages?
No, we had a cabin.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. And then you would go there every time to the Key West place, or most of the time?
We'd go there a lot, yeah.
When after he separated with Ursula, did he start to spend a lot of time by himself, or did you see as much of him?
I can't remember that time at all as to what he did or anything. I just cannot remember.
When do you start remembering again? Like after, like...
I don't even know where, I can't even think where he lived, because I don't believe he kept the little apartment. It was a little house, and I cannot remember.
Okay. But he just stopped working as far as you knew it? And just
He
kind of
stopped
depressed?
working there, but I know he worked someplace because he had an apartment someplace, but I can't remember where he went from there.
Did he stay in the area where you were at, or did he just leave like the whole
I
state?
can't remember a thing that happened after that.
Okay.
I don't know why, I just cannot remember.
Do you know when he moved like up to Georgia?
No, any what?
Do you remember when he moved, like, to the Atlanta area?
Shortly after, that's what happened. Shortly after they separated, he did go to Atlanta. And he got a nice apartment up there near Stone Mountain. And I would go up there about once a month and spend a weekend with him and help him fix his apartment. I remember that.
What did he do when he went up there? Do you know what he did for a living? When he...
I can't remember.
It's okay.
I know he was working because he left me his car while he was gone.
What kind of car was it?
It was a black sporty car, but I can't. Oh, it's a Camaro.
Yeah, I remember he mentioned that, actually. He really liked that car, I think.
Yeah.
That was a high-dollar car back then.
Yeah.
So he must have been doing very well.
Yeah. And he would, do you know what Stone Mountain is?
Yes, ma'am.
He would every weekend climb up on that mountain. And he met a girl there. Her name was Sandy, too. No, her name was Sean.
How did they meet? Do you remember? Did he ever tell you how they met? It's okay. That's no. Did they get married or?
Sean, as far as I know, they didn't. He never told me if they did.
Yeah, okay. What did he say about Sean?
Well, he was with her a long time, several years. But I believe he talked like she's a friend.
Oh, okay.
But I really don't know.
Did he like her a lot or ever say anything like that to you?
He seemed to care for her a lot.
Did you ever meet her?
No.
They never got married as far as you know or anything like that?
He never said anything about it.
Did he get married again, ma'am?
I was just thinking, I believe he married a girl with 2 children during the time that he was there.
Did you go to the wedding or?
I didn't even know it till he called me and told me that he's married.
Did you meet her? Did you meet his wife?
I met this girl. Gary was working or sometime, so I went out to Stone Mountain and stayed at the base of it. I didn't go up on it. And this girl came out. She had a uniform. I think she was a park ranger or something like that. I'm not sure what it was. And she told me that she was Gary's wife, that they had separated. And she didn't say anything bad about Gary or anything.
Did he ever say anything about her after they separated?
No, never told me anything. And he called me after they were married and talked to me, and the girl talked to me. But it was such a short time they were together until I really didn't get acquainted with her.
Did he like the kids or anything like that?
He seemed like they did. He did.
And did he ever tell you why they split up? Like, just never gave you any idea, or did you have a theory why?
No, I never had any idea at all why they separated.
Did you ever ask him?
No.
Just his business type thing?
Yeah. Did
he change after that breakup, or was there like Was there
I
anything?
couldn't notice any difference, but I wasn't seeing him very much then. Because he had started on drugs then, because I could smell it in the car. And I quit going up there every month because I was afraid he would get stopped and there'd be drugs. I was afraid there'd be drugs and I would be along with him.
Mm-hmm. So did you tell him you weren't going to... Did you say that to him? That you were going to hang around with him if he was going to do that?
He told me, he said, well, Mom, I don't use much of it. And said, that's better than if I was drinking and drunk all the time, isn't it? Don't you think that's better than being drunk? And he says, I don't use that much of it.
Is he talking about marijuana? Or what was he... Did he mention what it was?
He didn't say what it was.
Was it stuff you smoke? Like a cigarette? Or...
Yeah, more like a cigarette, but a little different smell.
Did he tell you what he was doing for a living or anything? Like when he
did
bought the
a lot of
Camaro?
telemarketing.
Okay. Did he have like one address in that time frame? Like, and I'm thinking of the 1980s. Did he live in a bunch of places or anything like that?
I never had an address because I never called him. I only called him. I never wrote to him anything. I'd call him ever so often.
How often did y'all talk during that time frame when he was doing drugs and things like that?
Well, it would vary. Sometimes it'd be every week, sometimes once a month.
Okay. As far as the 1980s, can you remember him dating anybody else or having a relationship with anybody?
After he was married.
Yeah, after the divorce or they got separated.
Well, you see, he wasn't in Miami, so I really don't know.
I don't know. Just if he ever mentioned anything like "I've got a girlfriend, Mom" or anything like
No.
that.
It's always this Sandy. She was over a period of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Sandy or Sean?
Sean.
Sean, okay. But he would, all throughout, like, as best you can remember, I know it's a long time ago, but through the 80s, even towards the late 80s, did he mention her in the 90s he would talk about Sean, or?
He was always talking about her. Send me pictures of her and him.
Oh, well, that's nice.